And I'm walking through, I lose my headlamp. And suddenly, I am not alone in the jungle. I could see next to me Japanese soldiers cooking over a fire. There were these guys talking over there, these people chilling over here, people just having a really good time hanging out. The moment I saw this visual view, they all started turning around to look at me.
Damn, you're walking to their world.
Yeah. They're suddenly in shock, realizing that I can see them.
They notice you noticing them.
They notice me noticing them. And then they're all turning around, standing up.
They Ooh. And we're back to another episode of Naik Bulu Tales. I'm Moe.
I am Fairil.
And here we are again, another week.
Yes.
Of engaging guests.
And more stories.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Hope you guys are feeling good tonight, because I think we got something special.
I think we do. I think we're going to go straight into it, because I feel like it's going to be a long one.
But before we get into it, you guys know what you guys got to do. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like our page, our TikTok, or whatever it is that we have.
And share to everyone.
And just keep supporting local, and yeah, share and everything like that.
Yep.
We appreciate you.
And don't forget, we're also on Spotify. You still uploading or not?
Yeah.
He's getting there.
I'm getting there.
Life is getting the better of us.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Let's get straight to the point.
Let's do it.
This guest has been a friend. I mean, maybe a close acquaintance to you. We met him 10 years ago.
Man, I don't know, longer than that.
Yeah, I know. We don't count pandemic time. So we're very excited to have him. I caught up with him a week ago, and it was about 8 years. We've been in touch digitally and electronically on text and whatnot and social media, but it was nice to see him face to face. So you guys are in for a treat with Mr. Moogie.
Welcome.
Hi everyone. Hi Mo. Hi Fairil. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Man, good. You look good, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. How you been all these years?
I've been very good. Life has been very interesting.
Yeah.
I've compiled a compilation of interesting stories to tell.
Who would have thunk, huh?
Who would have thunk?
On this
Who
show?
would have thunk? It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were Mo, and you're also old friends with M, our camera, our main
Shout out
cam
to
guy.
M.
So so it's gonna be a nice and intimate night.
It's such a small. When we were having dinner, you mentioned you knew M. I'm like, what? It just blew my mind, really. Like,
yeah, I mean, one of the nice things I really like about like being in Malaysia is that it's such a small world. Everyone knows everybody. So like, good things about good people travel good ways.
Yeah,
you know.
hey, you mix with the right crowd, you'll come to the good people.
Exactly.
yeah, it's true.
And I was thinking about it as well this morning when I was like reflecting on my time getting ready for this podcast.
Right.
Like, why did I have the experiences that I'm going to talk about today?
Right.
And maybe I had them just so I can talk about them today. So,
My chum, it's destiny.
Macham, it's destiny.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Macham.
You know, macham. It's meant to be.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
You're correct. All right, well, we're ready to hear your stories, man. Please.
Okay. So, I thought a lot about. No, that's a lie. I did not think that much about what I was going to say. But I thought about the stories I want to tell. I mean, I guess we can start with like the basic experience that I'm sure a lot of people have had. You know, like I remember driving down Kara. It's dark. You're driving along, you're listening to music, but you're kind of like tuning out the music, and like you're driving on the highway, you're paying attention to all of the turns because it's kind of spooky, and then you see like the shadow of like the jungle on your side. And then as you're looking forward, as you're driving and you're focused on like the road, you feel someone next to you. And like, you know there's no one there, there's no one in your car, you're alone. You're aware of the fact that you're alone. Logically, you know that there's like nobody there. But why do you feel like there's someone there? And the more you ignore it, just get stronger, stronger, stronger. Because you're trying to like distract yourself, right? And this is, I want to say, like a very interesting experience I've had, but one of the first interesting experiences I've had. So it's this was at a time when my work took me up and down Malaysia. I was like road warrior on the road all the time.
Right.
So out of desperation, not knowing what to do with it, not being super religious, so I didn't have those prayers to protect myself off the top of my head that I could go to. So I was just like, I took a deep breath and I just did this. Bam.
Oh shit.
I slammed my hand against the chair, and the moment my hand hit the chair, because I was still driving, I just like looked. I was like, no one. It's no one. And the moment I looked, the feeling went away.
Oh.
And I remembered that. I stored that memory in the back of my head. So I think experiences, I've had another experience just like this, where this time I was coming up from JB, and instead of taking the highway, because it was like 1 a.m. and I was bored, I just took like this. I don't even know, like I was just like randomly turning on Google Maps. It was like this road that led through small towns, and at one point it was driving through like kelapa sawit plantations.
Right.
Narrow road, 1 a.m., no one on the road, just driving along, blasting music. And then suddenly, because like straight road, right over there, little white figure hanging off the tree.
No.
Hanging off the tree. And at this point, I'm driving towards it, right? Because like it's a straight road.
Oh man.
And the thing is, it's completely dark, but I think it was a full moon or something, so you can't see anything, but the moonlight is catching the white whatever. So I could see that very clearly.
It's like that thing was a reflector, and it's the only thing that was lit it up.
Or maybe there's just an element of it that was just like lit up.
Yeah, that's true.
It's illuminating off the moon.
So okay.
And sometimes, like, here's the thing. I'm going a little bit off topic here, but here's the thing. When you walk to a bookstore, I don't know if you guys, like, I walk into a lot of bookstores, and when you walk into a bookstore, and it's kind of like the entire bookstore is dark, but when you walk into a bookstore, there is one book in the bookstore that is glowing in the dark in a way that only your eyes can see it. How do you know what interests you? How do you know what are the things that you see? When you see 11:11 on the clock, was it meant for you?
Yep.
Are you seeing what is meant for you? And when a book calls to you in a bookstore, when there's a million books there for a million people with a million interests, but one book is glowing in the dark for you.
Wow.
So I'm driving and this one thing is glowing in the dark. And I'm like, okay.
For you.
For me.
This is all for you.
So I'm like I'm driving. It's getting closer and closer. The more I avoided it, the more that feeling naik again, that Naik Bulu feeling, the more it starts like accumulating and like going up. And then I get to it and I am called to slow down. So I slow down my car and I park at the side of the road.
You're called, okay.
And like right in front of it, I'm like, what is this thing? What is it? It's like, if it was something spooky, I also semi-expected it to disappear when I got that close.
Right.
Like,
right.
So how close was close?
So it's like over there, maybe like 10, 50. Like I'm still in my car.
Yeah.
I'm parked at the side of the road. There's like a ditch, and then there's like kelapa sawits.
Okay.
And this is like hanging off one of the kelapa sawits at the first row. So not that far.
Yeah.
But close enough for me to stop. A car kind of angled towards it. Headlights turned on full blast. Lighting that up.
Shit.
I'm just looking at that like, what is that? Because it didn't even disappear. right? If it was disappeared, I would have just like driven straight home, no music, handshaking, right? But it was just there. So I just looked and looked and looked, and then I made out writing. It was a white karunguni.
It's a karunguni.
Like a
guni, right,
sack, like a white sackcloth, or like one of those white like
guni, okay,
right,
like one of those white like things that someone had hung up by the tree over there.
Right.
Oh.
And the moment I saw that Naik Bulu feeling went away, and I just continued layaning, listening to music,
Right.
driving home.
I mean, your eyes, your eyes can play tricks on you. For sure.
And here's the thing, right? Like, you know, in the same way that a book is glowing in a bookstore for you, sometimes I don't quite know whether your life experience is really like a completely meaningless experience that you go through, or whether there's an element of your own belief systems filtering what you see. Maybe from that perspective, right? Because like there's a lot of things to see. There are infinite things we can see. We can't see all of them. So we have to pick and choose from all of the sensations that are going through our senses. We have to filter out the kind of sensations that we want to engage in.
Okay.
That filtering process is usually the things in our head. Whether our interests, something we just like listened to recently. If you takut hantu, is a lot of hantu and things like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I guess from a perspective, like philosophically, I started out as a materialist. Like, I have an early degree in aerospace engineering, so I have a very like solid scientific worldview of the world that gave me a very like materialistic perspective. Like, all that exists is like the matter,
Right.
and consciousness itself is like signals between things of matter. Like, even though we may not know the structure of the matter, it is just matter. There is no secret source per se. I'm not so convinced now. I'm not so convinced now. But that is definitely a reminder for me, and something I've held on for the next couple stories I have, exploring this same idea, that if you see something scary, you need to look at it.
Fix it.
You need to look at it. You need to look. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be something that's Naik Bulu. It could just be something that you're avoiding in your life, a problem you don't want to deal with. There's something scary that you don't want to look at. The more you don't want to look at it, that's how much you need to be looking at it.
Right.
And this is probably one of like the hardest things to learn and do and apply, but it is the thing that has like saved my ass, I would say.
Interesting.
Because sometimes, and I've had like various experiences, right, in exploring like different, so I like to go like camping at night, stuff like that, sometimes in like various headspaces, and sometimes the kind of things that you can take can augment your headspace in a way that like maybe the solidness of the walls of reality can crumble just a little itty bitty bit. Or maybe it's just the full moon, maybe it's just the full moon lighting up the jinns around us, right?
Yeah.
Or like something like that. Whatever it is. And sometimes you go into the jungle, and I was in the jungle in one of these experiences, and I was walking through the jungle. I, silly boy, lost my headlamp, but I could see the lights of the campsite far away, and I was way off here for some random reason. And I'm walking through, I lose my headlamp. And the moonlight, again, it's the full moon. It's always is a full moon with these things. And
With you.
or with me. And
Full moon follows you, man.
and the full moon is shining. And suddenly, I am not alone in the jungle. Suddenly, I could see next to me, like, Japanese soldiers cooking over a fire. There were these guys talking over there, these people chilling over here. People just having a really good time hanging out. And look, it's the middle of the night. It's in a jungle. There's no one else next to me that I can ask, like, hey, bro, do you see that too?
Yeah.
So if I'm the only one having the experience and I am seeing it and I cannot corroborate
Right.
what I'm seeing with an objective third party,
Yeah.
is it there? And the thing is, here's the thing I realized. The moment I saw this visual view, they all started turning around to look at me.
No.
You walk into that world.
Yeah.
They're suddenly in shock, realizing that I can see them.
They notice you noticing them.
They noticed me noticing them, and then they're all turning around, standing up.
Ooh.
And then what I did, I just looked into those Japanese soldiers, because those were the first, that's the clearest memory I have. So it's like the first thing I saw. And like that's the only thing that I can like bring up in like what did I see, like a visual image that I have. I looked into the eyes, or like the dark eye holes of the Japanese soldiers,
Because the eye sockets were empty.
and I just said, hello. And they were like, oh, hello. And then they sat back down. And
Wow.
then I walked through the jungle, going around saying, hello, 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 hi, hi, hi. Big smile on my face, like, hey man, passing through. Pretty chill.
Yeah, oh man.
OG. I see, because like I thought about it, right? Not then my focus was getting to my tent, but like later I thought about it, and like, look, if you don't see them, they don't see you. They could be there, but they don't matter in your world,
Yeah.
right? But if you can see them and they can see you, and they know you can see them, and you know they know you know they are there, right? So at that point, I have a feeling these people, because like no one looks at them very often, right?
Yeah.
So it's a rare experience that people see them.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah. So I bet they're just like, hey, I know you see me, dude. Hey, ooh. They're like trying to scare you. They're
Yeah.
like they're trying to provoke a reaction.
Yeah.
Because they are being seen, they have been observed, and they're like, oh my god, we can interact.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just walk by like, I don't know. Don't look. And then they're just like, bro. You know?
That's so interesting because usually people are always saying when you see something, you're trying to go. But you're like, hey, what up, dude?
Hey, what up, dude? Because like, I bear you no harm. Obviously. I'm not even sure if I'm actually seeing you or not.
Right.
But like, I'm a chill guy. I'm like the meme. I'm a chill guy. I come bearing you no harm.
Yeah.
My conscience is clean. I have no fears of the past or guilt that follows me around. I feel like I have nothing but good energy to offer. So I look into the eyes, eye holes, eye space,
Right.
and then I'm like, hello, hi.
Maybe that Jangan Teguh should have an asterisk. So Jangan Teguh.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, if you don't have a strong iman.
Yeah.
Like I think it sounds like you're pretty strong that night. And
I
you were like,
feel-
oh.
Yeah.
he-
Because I felt like my energy at the time, the way I was conceptualizing of what is probably my iman in that certain way,
Yeah.
how I was conceptualizing it is that, hey, Rico, I am not frightened. I am not bothered. I'm here walking through this jungle. You are there with your fire and everything. We cool. I see you. We chill. So I walk around saying hi, right? And then I get to my tent. And the entire time I didn't feel afraid. That Naik Bulu feeling went away the moment I said hi.
It's kind of like also in a sense, they accepted that you were in the area, so they're like, alright, it's cool, don't bother.
Yeah. And then I have this other story of this other time where I did not acknowledge them and they were not happy about it.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So this time,
In the jungle too?
in the jungle, in a different jungle. A friend of mine has some land in Pera near Sungkai that he's converting into like a resort and everything. When he invited me, it was still at the Pecah Tanah phase,
Right, yeah.
so like just pre-construction. So we just went there. He had like land next to a river, so there was this river. The workers had put up like this basic tent, so we were just like chilling there. He just came, parked right there. This was a very like unplanned trip, so my energy during the trip was very much like, yeah boy, let's go, you know, like fun, happy, not thinking too much about anything.
Right.
I think I skipped work to like go hang out. You know, so just in a good space mentally, but not taking anything seriously or respectfully, right?
Right.
He comes, he throws his car in. I walk to the tent, we walk to the tent, there's a river, we're still like playing around, being boys. And then I'm like, man, I want to get something. I left my bag in the car. Let me go get it. And my campsite and the car, it's like a less than a 5-minute walk away. It's basically a straight line. You kind of like weave around a couple trees, but once you get like halfway there, you can see the car. And this entire time, I'm this is very like playful, not serious headspace, right? Like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna chill out. So I'm walking back to my car. And then I'm walking, I'm like, shit, I've been walking for 15 minutes. And I'm like looking around. I'm looking around, like I don't see the car, I don't see the campsite. I just see trees that look repetitive. And it kind of looked repetitive enough in a way that it suddenly hit me. And then I was like, I took a deep breath, like grounded myself, and I was like, hey, sorry for not acknowledging you guys.
Oh shit.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm on holiday. I'm having a good time. I come in peace. We cool. And then I turn around and I see the freaking car, and I have no idea how to explain this experience at all. This is an actual thing that I experienced. I didn't tell my friend. He would have been spooked. It would have ruined his night.
It's like you lost time a bit. Like
I lost time. I lost space. It's really like because I was in such a not joy. It wasn't joy because they don't punish children. It was not acknowledging where I was.
okay.
And
okay,
maybe
okay.
for someone like me who has this like inner groundedness with doing a lot of camping and like going to all of these places, it was a bit like, yo, what the hell?
It's kind of like
Just-
minta izin lah.
Minta izin, yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel that time to me. So I don't know to what extent this is weird, but I feel like however you want to translate the idea of a jinn, I think I can correlate jinns to prankster spirits. Maybe prankster spirits are one type of jinn. And I don't even know if that's the correct terminology. In my head, a prankster spirit is just like a being that's playing with you a little bit. It's not like it doesn't have any mean intent, but it's also like just playing.
I mean that makes sense. I mean I think
Just
that's
like-
what jinn a lot of jinns are like that.
Yeah. And they're like, if you are religious, this is a test of your iman.
Yeah.
Because that is the part of you that they are accessing. In my case, because I don't have that headspace to approach this or know the words to say to build that kind of pagar against my experience, I have to go with, in a way, acknowledgement of their existence and kalau boleh, direct negotiation.
That's so interesting.
So that's why when I was turning around and all of the trees just looked the same repetitively, I just like, okay, look, I'm here. I know you're here. Sorry for like not acknowledging, but I'm here to have a good time. I hope we're cool. That was my prayer. I hope we cool. It's like, I don't know what else to say, right? I hope we cool.
I think it's funny that what if, like, in the Ghost Network, right? All the Japanese ghosts were like, hey, watch out for this Mugi guy. He can see us, and and it reached to this a bunch of ghosts or jinns.
And maybe they felt my energy at the time. I feel that. I feel like I try to live my life in ways that I feel like I have a somewhat clear karmic balance. And that has been intentional, maybe slightly also, because that is one of the things that comes up in the back of my head when I'm doing this direct nego thing, this table talk, That's and crazy. I'm just like, look, I mean, how ain't no one like got no one
has ill intentions.
There's no ill intentions either way. I come in peace, in love of all mankind and spirit kind or whatever. I'm just here to chill. I know I'm in your space. Like, we cool.
As long as you give that energy, right, that you're cool.
Yeah. I'm cool. I acknowledge you. I am not walking through this blindly, and you do not need to like be mean.
Yeah.
We cool.
It's funny because you can see dead people, like especially in Sixth Sense, right? It's basically how he overcame his fear is by actually talking to these ghosts, because they all wanted something or needed to be seen or heard. So it's interesting that they haven't gone close enough to need something from you. Like the second part here, you're saying this is prankster jinns. The first time all these Japanese ghosts were just being chilling, chilling, doing their thing, and then they realize you can see them.
So. And that's also the thing as well. It's not like I go out looking for these experiences.
Exactly,
But when confronted in it, there's a part of me that is very firm in the idea that the one space I do not respond from is fear. Because as much as I acknowledge them, I do feel like it is hard to hurt me without my consent.
I like that.
Without, in a way, my co-contribution into this hurting. So, if they could manipulate physical objects, we would know that by now.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
they can manipulate mental spaces, which I acknowledge. But I feel like the manipulation of your mental space is kind of sort of just like putting a VR headset on you. It's like they're just like having these elements appear in your world. And when these elements appear in your world, you have different ways that you can react to it, right? You can go back to your religious understanding and do what your religious leader tells you to do. Whatever religion you subscribe to, there's probably a senior person in that world who has ideas that apply against these feelings. And you can also kind of like try to see how much of a space that you could. But again, like you said, these are not advices in any way. Like there is a reason why they tell you to be careful, to be mindful of your iman and make sure that your belief in your place in your world and the power of your own headspace in co-creating this world around you should be recognized and worked on before you take these casually. Because I feel like from a lot of my different experiences, whether it's experiences while driving, psychedelic experiences, a lot of visual experiences, or just a feeling that I get, like a Naik Bulu feeling, I feel like when I go through all of these, the one thing that I always hold on to, especially during psychedelic experiences as well, the one thing that I hold on to is that fear gets you nowhere. Fear is for the fearful. There is a part of you that should be ready to stand tall in your own shoes and understand that you have every right to be here and that you can put that forward. I feel like this is easier to achieve if if someone has done things that they have not integrated into their psyche, and they have a lot of internal battles, maybe even questions of whether they are good or bad people and things like these are emotional states that are really easy to be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And you are not standing in your power. But if you know who you are and you have an understanding of the power of your own mind in creating the world that you live in, then you do have the opportunity to approach every situation with courage, to acknowledge everything that you see. Whether you see something, it's easy to acknowledge things when they are beautiful, right? Like people taking mushrooms in Bali, and you look at the sunset. Oh, it's so beautiful! It's so pretty. And then you walk by the beach, and you start seeing hands come out of the sand trying to get you. And at that point, my feelings walking through that beach at night, seeing these hands come up and try to get me, was also, oh wow, so cute. It's like genuinely enjoying this experience of being able to interact with the world in this way. And when you lead, dogs can sense fear.
Yeah.
So when you are afraid of a dog, the dog feels it. The moment you run away from the dog in fear, that dog automatically is triggered to chase you like a prey animal, like a predator, because you are reacting like a prey animal. So whatever you see, even if it's something that's not beautiful, even if it's something that you did not expect to see, if you can at that time understand that everything is beautiful, not just the pretty things, and be able to have gratitude at being able to be shown this, to see these things, and to look at them and be like, thank you. That space of gratitude and courage is, I believe, the key to feeling safe in everything. I mean, yes, absolutely, definitely the key to feeling safe during a psychedelic experience. If you have consumed anything that has shaken the walls of perception between reality, and jinns are starting to come through the cracks and they're starting to play with you, the headspace you should be in is one of gratitude at being shown all of these things. Because remember, they can show you whatever you want, but they cannot take a chair and smack you over the head with it. If ghosts can do that, we would know by now. Right?
In a way. I mean, well, we've heard of poltergeists, right?
Yeah. I mean,
they're moving things around. They're vengeful spirits. Yeah.
They're vengeful spirits, but if you see a poltergeist and the poltergeist is moving things around, I would just look at it and be like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for showing me this experience.
Right.
Ooh, wow.
I mean, in actuality, when you go back to religion and stuff like that, in Islam, they say the only person we fear, the only thing we fear is fear God. That's
exactly.
We don't fear. We're not supposed to fear anything else.
Sometimes.
Yeah, we do forget.
We forget it when we're fearful.
Because our humanity, our human elements come in, but I think it's when something happens like that, we remember and we say, God is real. That's why you're here too. God, so.
Like, in this world, in that jungle with those Japanese spirit jinns and me walking through the jungle, all of us still are under that one being that we all bow down to.
Yeah.
I have no reason to be afraid of that guy because he's afraid of that guy too.
Yeah.
Like, from in a way of speaking, when I am fearful, that is energy.
Yeah.
So it's like that dog, right? Everything is energy, and especially non-physical creatures operate on a sense of energy exchange. This is a bit off topic. It's a joke, but I used to always read a lot about these reptilians that apparently control all of us. But the most interesting, why I'm drawn into this is because what they say is that the reptilians feed on human fear. So like they have this idea that apparently all different human emotions have different weights, different frequencies, different weights, however you want to describe it. They have different vibrational levels, they have different the qualia is quantitatively different, I suppose. I don't know how you'd quantify it, but you get the idea. Yeah. Like different feelings are different. And when you're sitting in fear, grief, it's that energy can feed beings that want that energy. I think everything is energy. I mean, I have some friends who have unfortunately fallen down the path of substance abuses, various substances. And one of the things I feel about substance abuse is also that is an energy that feeds upon itself. I feel like when you are craving a substance, is it you that is craving, or is it the spirit left behind by that substance in your body craving for more of itself? And it is using you as a way to get more of itself. Now, I guess the question is, do you want to let these spirits toy with you or play with you? Or are you going to stand in gratitude and courage and be like, I negotiate for myself?
Right. What you guys don't know is when I first met Mugi, what drew me to him was that he's a rocket scientist by trade. So I'm kind of curious because what you've described so far has been very spiritual, very almost hippie, if you will, hippie lifestyle, which is cool, but where does your scientific mind come in to rationalize these experiences?
Thanks for allowing me to talk about this, because I could go on and again, so I guess one of the things about talking about these perspectives is that I just want to be very clear that this is my personal perspective, and we all gravitate towards different ideas, right? Sure. Some people are raised with some ideas, some people find some other ideas, and we all gravitate towards the ideas that feel right for us, that synchronize with something inside us, and it links, and we're like, yes, that is correct. And when I used to be a firm materialist, like there is like nothing in this world beyond what is the material element that we can see, that even consciousness itself is like the result of electrical signals sent through the neurons, and those operating in certain different pathways is what causes the entire qualia, the experience of having experience, right? Like drinking something and tasting it and feeling it, and the experience of joy and the experience of all of this. And over time, I've started to really to consider that, mainly because I've started to feel that what we know about the nature of reality itself is not that stable. There is a lot of model creation that our brain is doing based on raw sensory data. As a human being, we're sitting here and we're getting data that's being pumped into our brain all the time. We have visual data, we have audio data that's sent through vibrations of our inner ears, which sends different electrical signals that's processed by some parts of the brain. And all of this data is then put together to create this experience of being alive. And you can mess with this experience of being alive by messing with parts of the brain. For example, for people who have unfortunately had a stroke in their visual cortex, they're blind because the part of their brain that creates this visual experience is no longer functional. But and this is something that I've read, please Google this. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. If you're blind because you have a stroke, it's not like your eyes are not functional. Your eyes work, but the part that builds the visual bit is not working. So these people, they can run through the jungle. Apparently there's a thing where if you run through the jungle faster than your consciousness can decide on where to put your next footstep, then there is somehow a part of your brain, the eyes don't just send signals to the visual cortex, they send signals to different parts of the brain. And these signals, even though it's not vision, is visual input. and the brain can take this and make decisions from this, like deciding where to step when you are walking through the jungle faster than you can consciously think about where to step. And also, like, you can also learn other skills, like, for example, echolocation. If you're blind, you can make click sounds with your mouth. And I looked this up in case I went blind someday, and it takes like 8 months to learn. But it's possible. Anyone can learn this. Anyone can learn how to do like echolocation. But apparently, the non-visual senses get stronger when you lose the visual one. If you still have the visual one, it's a lot harder for you to like build that skill.
Oh wow.
So all of this really makes me think that whatever I think reality is, or whatever all of us think reality is, it is no longer as scientifically built in stone that we are living in a material world. I am nowhere near smart enough to talk about like quantum physics, but from all of the understanding of all of what matter is, I think we are down to this point where we think everything is a probability wave, where the fundamental realness of everything in that individual atomic or subatomic scale, I suppose, is that everything is a probability wave that collapses when something or so happens, and that is what creates this shared visual experience. Ever since I watched The Matrix, I've been one of those guys who's been like, what if it's all a simulation, bro? Wait, hang on. Let me do this right. What if it's all a simulation, bro? You know? So like I've been like really wild into the idea of,
it's more like Bill and Ted.
And they had a time machine.
And like, if this is a simulation, here's how I think it works. I think the simulation has two different levels of like visual creation. So the first level is, of course, the shared objective reality that we occupy.
Okay.
Right? That's how when any of us smack our hands against this table, we're going to feel it. Even if our eyes are closed, still there. Right? But there's also another layer that is your own thoughts being fed back into the simulation that is fed back into you. A feedback loop, so to speak. I think that's how, like, I think that's why people who really believe in ghosts see a lot of ghosts.
Do you think the blind
That's interesting.
can detect or feel the spirit world in that sense?
I feel like I have, not being blind, I will never. I cannot speak for the blind experience, but several of my own experiences did not depend on my visual sight. Right? It's just that Naik Bulu feeling. You know, it's like I don't know.
That's crazy.
And I thought that's a good question. I never thought about, because like I said, visual consciousness is possible.
Yeah.
So maybe a blind person could feel, but maybe not have an idea what that might look like. You know.
But also to just like wrap up on your question. So I think that what we think is reality is not the entire story. I think we need to feel like we know how the world works.
We think we have an idea.
We think we have an idea, and I think our idea also helps to create the world around us. I think that's why we have the whole things about how, like, if you're pregnant, then you suddenly see pregnant women. If you're really religious, you see God in everything, right? You see God in the sunrise. If you're really religious, you see it. I feel like if you really believe in ghosts, and if you believe in ghosts and you have that same Naik Bulu feeling I got, that ghost would be realer in your world than it was in mine. I think however you describe it, why does prayer work? Why is it that when you think about something over and over and over and over again, it finds ways to manifest itself in your world? Why does that work? Why do people do affirmations? Yeah, it doesn't work for like most people, but how many people are just focused on shifting timelines? So I think that while we through science can have a very solid understanding of the physical world, I think what science is showing also is that the physical world itself I mean, like from the discovery that the main thing in us is an empty space, because there is more space between the electrons and the protons than there are electrons and protons. So by definition, an atom is mostly empty space with a bit of matter. And all of the atoms put together are all mostly empty space with a bit of matter. So even from that perspective, what we are learning from science is the fact that what we think the universe is may not necessarily be all that there is. And for me, science is the exploration of what is. I find it very hard to talk to people who are... Look, it's okay to believe what you believe, but to stand and say that what you believe is right for everyone equally, I think disregards that individual feedback loop we have for our simulation. When I meet someone who is really... even someone who's really in love can only see the good things that their partner is doing, no matter what anyone around them tells them, right?
Yeah.
Someone who is hungry knows where food is. It's we all have these individual lived experiences that is as much creating our reality as is the shared matrix we all occupy. That goes back to everything we've spoken about, where if your feedback loop is co-creating your reality, then you are a co-creator of your lived experience. And if you are fearful, then you are co-creating things to be afraid of. If you are nervous, then you are co-creating things that will make you nervous. And if you approach the world with like gratitude and just like, you cannot make me scared.
So what about, I mean, sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead, yeah.
But, so, I mean, as humans, not everyone has that ability to confront fear, or because I mean we know we have friends as well who cannot even watch horror movies and they're just so scared of it they can't even face it. So what happens how do you tell someone to face something when they're that afraid? You know what I mean? I guess it comes down to their perceptions. Reality is like, if you believe in God and God's that one, you just know that he's the one. But if you believe in science, you have these other reasonings to go around, like, oh, that's just a water tap, or things like that. So I don't know, what do you think about that?
I feel like believing in God and investigating a sound that you hear in the middle of the night and deciding that it's the water tap are not mutually exclusive.
Right.
I guess the thing about a scientific understanding is that science is fundamentally the art of asking questions, right? It's like, what is this? Before I react with my primal emotions, I'm going to be like, I'm going to engage with curiosity.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink, right? You can want to help someone as much as you want, but unless they want to be helped, nothing's gonna work. Unless that person wants to get over this fear, like truly, unless they want to try, it's not gonna work. Everything will just be silly. We're like doing these silly things. Yes, you can do like the kind of like, for example, if someone's afraid of spiders, for example, there's a type of therapy that you can do where you introduce little bits of spiders continuously and you work them up to like dealing with having a full-on spider on them. And that kind of work, even if it feels silly in the beginning, because it's happening in a proper step-by-step planned out way, still has a lot of value. But if you're trying to like deal with your own fear, and like, or you're trying to like deal with someone else's fear, unless they want to deal with that fear, anything you do to try to get them to think differently or act differently or see the world differently, they're just going to be like, yeah, but I'm still afraid. The only way to stop that fear is to find that thing that you're afraid of and look in its eyes and say, hello.
So literally face your fears.
Literally face your
That
fear.
really works.
That is the only thing that I have known in my life ever to work. That is the only thing that I've known to work, no matter what you have taken, no matter what kind of headspace you're in. I mean, to be fair, I have never had a chance to talk to like, like the girls in like asrama perempuan who like kena rasuk lah, this lah, that lah. I've never had a chance to converse with any of them. But maybe it also depends on your worldview. Like if this person has a worldview based on a certain religion or a certain way of thinking, then whatever works for them will be easier for them to accept if it goes along with that worldview. If someone of their religion is giving them advice on how to deal with something non-physical, then because they believe that will be the most powerful tool in their mind.
Yeah.
But if you're at a point where you're just like nothing's working but you're still afraid, just go look at it.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned possession and kena rasuk. I would love to hear your views on, since we talked about conscious construct, feedback, conscious feedback, the loop. What is possession to you?
I mean, to me, again, like my personal opinion on this, I'm going to maybe explain this by sharing a different story, completely different story, maybe even unrelated, but I think there's something there. When I was 12 years old, my mom has always been concerned about like what's going to happen in my future, blah blah blah. So when I was 12 years old, she decided to bring me to see tukang tile, I think like an Indian Hindu religious man who can read your future.
Okay, yeah.
So I was brought in front of him. I was a young kid. I didn't enjoy this experience. I didn't want to be here. I thought all of this was weird, but my mom was like making me do this, and like, I'm 12. What am I going to do? Say no, right? So I just like went along. And that guy, I remember, again, this is just my personal experience. He looked at me and my mom was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm worried about him or something. And he was like, okay, don't worry. Let me find out. And then he looked at me. And when he looked at me, I don't know why I felt this or I imagined this. I felt a hand go into my head.
Whoa.
And then I don't know why my first reaction was put up a massive wall in my head. I just put up a massive wall in my head. And I was just like looking at him like. And then it stopped, it went away after I put up that wall. And then he just started telling my mom stuff, making up stuff about me. Because I was a big Indian boy. So he was like, oh, be careful with his friends. They're probably going to make him start smoking and like stuff like that. Just like stereotyping of a 12-year-old Indian boy, what he thinks they would be experiencing in school, etc.
Mainly because he couldn't access your...
I would like to think that, like, look, if you are a complete skeptic, then you're going to be like, okay, you just imagined all of that because he was looking at you weird. He couldn't have been able to read your mind anyway. All of this is like ridiculous.
Right.
No matter what that experience had gone like, he would still have just made up stuff stereotyping about you. And again, because this is a very like personal experience, there's no one else I can like compare this to. But because in my head, I have that memory of like putting up a wall.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, because obviously having had all of these experiences, like whether it was going through the jungle and seeing the Japanese soldiers, or like going into the other jungle with my friend and like have the spirits like make me lost in a jungle that is very small. I wonder if these spirits, I'm sure some of them are playful, I'm sure some of them are good, I'm sure some of them are like, they want to cause chaos. Agents of chaos, right? Agents of chaos are everywhere.
Yeah.
So when they see a person with weak walls, with like, because the thing is, you can look like a budak sekolah agama, but not necessarily your walls are strong, right? You can go to kelas agama every day, every week, but whether you are actually listening or just writing down your notes, what do, but actually like tak mendalam, tak, like you don't like integrate that religious idea into your life.
Yeah, there's no guarantees of your faith.
Exactly, like the strength of your iman is entirely between you and God, because every single person can create a fake persona of being religious, but their true iman can only be seen by God. So the people put children into religious schools, religious classes with the hope that what they listen they will just accept, but you don't necessarily know. The thing is, when your eyes are open, you cannot close them again. When the moment you learn about the existence of like hantu ke or anything, spirit, jinn and stuff like that, the moment you are aware, you cannot become unaware. The moment you know something, that knowledge itself is now creating that as a reality in your worldview.
It's like you can't unsee it.
Yeah, you cannot unsee it.
Yeah.
So you are told all of these things and you cannot unsee them, but your walls against them are not very strong. So when you're put in an environment where you have these Naik Bulu feelings, and then one person is talking, the other person is talking, the other person is talking, the other person is talking, and it starts going on, and your mind catches that energy, and your mind starts to like, oh my God, it's true, maybe it's true, maybe it's true, maybe it's true. What is this I'm feeling? What is this I'm feeling? Why am I feeling like this? What's that? You can talk yourself into it. But here's the thing. Remember how I said that if the simulation is real, I think how the simulation works is that what you think is looping back to create the world around you. So if you are now obsessively looping about something, then that is now creating that in the world around you, and that is now becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger until it could easily override your weak ass walls, your ability to hold yourself, your ability, because like I feel like this body, the grip between our prefrontal cortex, the part of us that thinks of us as us, that ego, so to speak, the
frontal lobe.
Yeah, the frontal lobe, that the part that and this physical body, the connection is actually quite weak. It's the brain, you in here do not have full control over this. That's why some people can be hypnotized. It is actually possible to hypnotize someone where you just temporarily break that connection, where you're able to like control the body without controlling that. You can also achieve that with like chemicals, for example, like scopolamine that you take from datura. Like this is one of the alkaloids in the datura flower, and if you take that, you turn it into a powder, you like extract that in some way, you blow it on someone's face. That puts you in a very like.
So that's the thing, I've heard a lot of people kena pukau with that kind of powder, and then we think it's black magic, but it's actually, like you said, it's a substance that can make you disoriented.
I mean, here's the thing though, like when you. Let's say, for example, when I talk to some people who tell me about their blacky magic experiences, the things that they have seen, and like how they've observed these things happening, because I have a very intellectual like curiosity towards this. Like I want to know, and they always talk about like smells, right? There's like people burning kemenyan, people burning things like that. I remember like I don't remember the details, so I don't want to give any details. I can't like actually think it's correct in my head, but like what if the kemenyan itself is like, for example, like opium or something like that,
form of psychedelic.
Yeah, like opium is more of an opiate, so it just makes your body feel very relaxed, right? So imagine if someone is burning that in this smoke, and you're inhaling that smoke, and you're like, but you don't know that is opium. What would you think? Hey, or any power though. Magic do, And for example, and again, this is something I remember reading vaguely a while ago in a book about like the different cultures that have different kinds of mandi bunga. Because it's not a one culture limited thing. There are different cultures with different styles of mandi bunga. The early forms of some of the plants that were used have psychedelic properties. So if there's like a psychedelic leaf or something that is in this water, and you dip into this water, and while you're in it, you start feeling like euphoric, religious, and like, good. Are you gonna think it's a mandi bunga? Probably, right?
If it works, I guess.
Yeah. The thing is, if you don't know, if you don't have this intellectual construct, or if this idea of like your brain as a chemistry lab and like what different compounds can do to your states of experiences, if you don't see yourself, but you just have the lived experience, and then you dip in this mandi bunga thing and you start feeling like mandi bunga working, bro,
It's funny because our 50th episode, right, at the tail end with Razif, tail end of the episode, we're three of us wrapping up. I'm actually mid-sentence, and the three of us actually heard something. How did we describe it again?
Just a sigh, a
loud sigh, which the three of us, by what you're saying, we have manifested in our minds together in a way. If we were to explain it,
So, however you explain it, in situations where you hear a sigh, I always feel that the best thing to do is to just be like, "Hi, thanks for joining us." Like, it's cool. Hi. Like, just like, hi.
I know.
Hi, also like, hi, you are welcome here, but you are my guest. I am allowing you to share this space. I am establishing, not dominance, because you can't establish dominance, but I am establishing a guest-host relationship in this environment.
Interesting.
I am not afraid, but I am acknowledging and welcoming. And I think if you do that, whatever manifested that sigh would feel less intense.
Interesting, because I guess I just prior to that sigh I was mentioning, it'd be cool, and
show us a sign.
No, I didn't.
Indirectly, he was saying that.
Indirectly, because I was like, it's as simple as like, we are having a show about all these, the main characters are all these entities, so we are. I feel like we're respecting them by telling about them. We are acknowledging.
Yeah, and then you also say like maybe they're watching us,
and then maybe they're watching these episodes. However they are. I mean, they have their own YouTube. And then when that happened, we both stopped. All three of us stopped in our tracks. Especially me, I was mid-sentence, and then all of a sudden we're like, "Jangan teguh." We didn't acknowledge it. We acknowledged it. We implied it. We're like, "Jangan teguh," and there's something obviously. We jangan teguh.
Yeah.
But that was a very interesting experience.
Yeah. It's I guess it's like, I mean, looking at different perspectives as well in terms of acknowledging or not acknowledging. I guess from growing up, being told not to acknowledge is because not that you're afraid, but you might be acknowledging the wrong entity, right?
Yeah.
So if you acknowledge the wrong entity, then that's the thing that's going to attach, and you got to figure out
how to let it go,
how to get rid of it or whatnot, right? So I guess for me, I can't speak for everybody, but that's the reason why I wouldn't acknowledge, like. I've heard stories in the jungle where people see like kapuntiana or whatever and shit like that, right? And it's right there, and they can see it, and they're like, "Don't acknowledge, because they feel like once you acknowledge, it's gonna equal you, So it's like different perspectives, but it's interesting to hear that your perspective more in that scientific aspect,
Kind of like a Harith's episode. Remember, he had that entity in his house, but he just acknowledged it. And it didn't bother him. It was just there,
Like, but on that note, though, I've like growing up in like sekolah menengah, KKRS, cadet remaja sekolah, gi camping and all of that. I've gotten the jangan teguh, don't shine your torchlight up trees that all the time. What I do now that works for me, specifically only me, is teguring. Where, for example, if I'm in the jungle and I hear a weird noise, I shine my light up the tree and I'm like, hi. And then I shine it back down and I keep walking. And maybe because I do it from that headspace of like, when I tegur you, that means you're gonna leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I don't have this mental idea that when I tegur, they will come with me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like that also is kind of like maybe.
I mean,
I've wondered
really,
about that all the time.
It's really, I mean, obviously, like you said, it's really on how you experience it, how you manifest,
In your iman.
in your iman and stuff like that, right? But I guess in totality, we can't it's not absolute, right? It's just something that everybody just handles their own way, right?
Yeah.
To whatever makes them say, hey, okay, you know what? I don't want to be scared anymore. This is what I got to do. You know, kind of thing. So, like,
Right.
so it's
Right.
like some people, like you said, some people, you know, like you can confront something and you'd be like, all right, I know you're there. Don't fucking bother me. I haven't done anything to you. But some people, like, they see that shit, they run to it, they're like, ah, you know, things like that.
And the thing is that you have to understand that like, you're co-sharing this world.
Yeah.
You have no greater power over them than they have over you.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if you are kurang ajar, then they're gonna be like,
what the hell?
All right, let's battle.
yeah. Because for me, saying hi is also being polite.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's not like hi. It's like
Correct. I see your point. You know,
hello.
yeah. Acknowledging them, but
I come in peace. You know,
Yeah.
I'm here to chill. I'm not an enemy.
not disrespecting them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're there. You do you. I do me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Move on.
And also like
Yeah.
just establishing that mutual respect.
Yeah. I think this is good to know for our viewers as well. This is one way.
Yeah.
If you tried 1,000 other ways, it didn't work. Saying hi and what's up, maybe that could help.
I mean,
With respect.
Yeah, I mean,
With respect.
to
Yeah,
the
with
viewers, to our viewers tonight. I mean, I know it's not our typical episode, but it's been kind of eye opening in certain aspects that Mugi has shared with us. You know, so let us know what your opinions or thoughts are on actually Mugi's aspect, because I mean, you might not agree with it, you might agree with it, and you're open to ask him. You know, it's I mean, I was quiet most of the time, just like trying to absorb. You know,
It was quite an educational perspective.
Very
for
interesting.
Thanks for letting me share my
man.
view of looking at the world.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Because sometimes you have to look at other people's views in order to understand a different angle. You know, so thank you for sharing.
Did you have another story, or that 12-year-old boy was your story?
At this point, I'm drawing a blank. So yes, that was my last
All
story.
right,
If
all
I
right.
think of more stories or if I have more experiences, I'll
let
just
us
come
know,
back one of these days.
For sure.
So, guys, that's our rocket scientist point of view
So interesting.
of the supernatural world.
Yeah. So if you guys if you guys have any questions, put it down in the comments. Before we end it, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like. Appreciate all of you.
Follow our socials: TikTok, IG.
And with that, my name is Fairil,
and I'm Mo,
and this
I'm
is
Mugi.
and we'll see you guys on another episode of
Naik Bulu Tales. Peace, guys.
Later.